Have you ever wondered why some women seem to captivate men without saying a word? Why there's an allure about them that lingers, an energy so potent that even silence becomes a language of its own? It's not just about beauty or charm, it's the depth of their presence, a magnetic force that men both fear and crave. This kind of allure isn't built on shallow gestures or fleeting attention. It's rooted in something far deeper, far more ancient. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, often spoke about the unconscious, how it shapes us, how it pulls us into patterns we cannot see but are always present. He also spoke of the shadow, the hidden part of our psyche that we deny, yet it exerts its influence over our actions. When a woman stands in her own truth, when she understands the darkness within herself, she doesn't chase after validation. Instead, she becomes a reflection of that very shadow, a shadow that men are drawn to, yet fear to face. Imagine for a moment that you are the woman who understands this. You've spent years quietly exploring your own depths. You've walked through your shadow, the insecurities, the pain, the things that society tells you to hide. And yet, rather than hiding, you've embraced them. You've made peace with the darkest parts of yourself, and in doing so, you've found a peace that radiates outwards, without you even needing to speak. This is not about being perfect or pristine, this is about being whole. And there it is, the silent allure. A woman who is not afraid of her own power, not afraid to step into the unknown, not afraid to walk alone through the wilderness of her own mind. Men see this. They may not understand it, but they feel it. They sense that this woman is a force, unpredictable, untouchable, and unapologetically real. The man who encounters her is faced with a mirror, but not one he can see himself in. He is confronted with the shadow of his own psyche, and it's terrifying. He may project his desires, his needs, and his fantasies onto her, but deep down, he knows that she is not something he can possess. She is a reflection of the untamed parts of himself that he has either rejected or buried. And this is what he fears, losing this connection to something larger than both of them, something that lies just beyond the veil of the conscious mind. Jungian psychology teaches us that the fear of loss is often a fear of losing the parts of ourselves that we have not yet integrated. The woman who embodies her shadow invites men to confront that which they have repressed. She doesn't ask for approval, nor does she require validation. Her energy alone is enough to remind him of the parts of himself he refuses to acknowledge. And in this, she becomes the mirror, the silent reflection of everything he is too afraid to face. But this mirror is not one of weakness, it's a mirror of strength, of fierce independence. The woman who understands her own worth does not need to chase after validation. She stands in her own power, rooted in the reality of her being, unshaken by the external noise that seeks to diminish her. This, too, is part of the silent allure. It's not the absence of noise, but the presence of something far more profound. She doesn't need to speak to be heard, nor does she need to act to be desired. It is this silent strength that men find both alluring and threatening. They are drawn to it, yet they fear it because it represents something they can never truly own. It's the intangible, the unknowable, the force that eludes their grasp. The woman who embodies her shadow is not an enigma to be solved. She is a force to be felt, an energy that exists beyond their ability to control. This is what makes her so powerful. Her silence becomes the loudest voice in the room, her presence, the most potent force. So, what is it that men truly fear losing in a woman like this? It's not just her beauty, her intellect, or her charm, it's the fear of losing the connection to that deep, untamed part of themselves. The woman who stands in her truth does not ask for permission to be herself. She demands nothing, yet offers everything. And in that offering, she becomes the most powerful force he will ever encounter, the one thing he cannot possess, but will forever crave. As the man watches her, he is pulled into a world of contradictions. A world where words are unnecessary, where actions speak louder than any promise. He may approach her, he may chase her, but he will never truly capture her, for she is not a prize to be won. She is the embodiment of the unknown, the part of the universe that is too vast to be controlled, too deep to be fully understood. This is where the tension lies, the attraction, the pull, the deep, magnetic force that draws him in, only to leave him breathless, wondering if he has ever truly known her at all. Jung spoke of the anima, and the animus, the unconscious, inner figures of the opposite sex, that reside within each of us. The anima is the feminine aspect in a man's psyche, and the animus is the masculine aspect in a woman's. These figures are not mere symbols. They are forces that guide us toward our deepest truths. When a man encounters a woman who fully inhabits her anima, he is confronted with his own inner feminine energy, his capacity for vulnerability, intuition, and emotional depth. But, for most men, this is a terrifying experience. To confront the anima is to confront all that has been hidden within. It is to encounter emotions that have been suppressed, feelings that have been ignored, and desires that have been denied. This confrontation is not comfortable. It is a reckoning, a moment of awakening. And for the man who encounters a woman who has fully embraced her anima, this awakening is both exhilarating and disorienting. He may be drawn to her in ways he cannot explain, pulled toward her with an intensity that seems to bypass all logic. But here's the rub. The woman who stands in her power, who embraces the darkness within her, does not seek to fix him. She does not see him as a project or a puzzle to be solved. She sees him for who he is, and she accepts him, warts and all. She does not demand that he change. She simply exists as she is, whole, complete, unyielding. And this is what he fears. The fear is not about her, the fear is about his own inability to change, to confront his own shadow. Men are often raised to suppress their emotions, to hide their vulnerabilities, to wear masks of strength and certainty. Yet the woman who embraces her anima invites them to shed these masks, to step into the unknown and embrace their emotional complexity. This is where the magic happens. In the rawness, the truth, and the depth that emerges when he is allowed to be vulnerable. And this is where the shadow comes in. The shadow is the hidden part of the psyche, the aspects of ourselves that we disown and reject. It contains the things we deem unacceptable, the emotions we are unwilling to acknowledge, the traits we are ashamed of. For a man, encountering a woman who is comfortable in her own shadow forces him to confront his own darkness. He sees in her what he has denied in himself. And it is this confrontation that is both frightening and liberating. The allure of silence is not just in the absence of words, it is in the quiet confidence that comes from knowing oneself. A woman who has integrated her shadow is not afraid to show her flaws, her imperfections, or her pain. She stands tall, not because she is flawless, but because she knows that she is enough, just as she is. And in this, she becomes a mirror, reflecting back to the man the parts of himself he has yet to accept. But what does it mean for a man to accept his own shadow? It means stepping into the unknown. It means embracing vulnerability, and it means letting go of the need for control. The woman who embodies her anima does not need to control him. She simply exists as a force of nature, and in doing so, she allows him to see himself more clearly. She forces him to confront the parts of himself he has hidden away, and in doing so, she offers him the opportunity for growth. This is where the true power lies. Not in control, not in manipulation, but in the ability to simply be. A woman who is at peace with herself, who is not afraid to face her own darkness, becomes a force that transcends the surface-level dynamics of attraction. She invites men to look deeper, to question their own assumptions, and to confront their own shadows. And in this confrontation, there is a potential for transformation both for the man and for the woman. But here's the paradox. The more a man tries to chase this woman, the more elusive she becomes. The more he seeks to possess her, the more she slips through his fingers. She is not something to be captured or contained. She is a force to be experienced, to be felt in the depths of his being. And the more he seeks to control her, the more he will find himself lost in the very shadows he fears to confront. In the end, the silent allure is not about attraction, it is about awakening. It is about recognizing the depths of the soul, both his and hers. It is about embracing the unknown, stepping into the darkness, and finding the freedom that comes with letting go of the need for control. The woman who has embraced her shadow does not need to chase after validation. She simply chooses to be, and in this being, she becomes the most powerful force in the room. The more a man tries to define this woman, to pin her down and make sense of her, the more he will find that she cannot be contained within the boundaries of his understanding. She becomes the anima he cannot capture, the feminine energy that transcends his perceptions. And in doing so, she becomes both a mystery and a revelation. Every attempt to label her, to categorize her, only draws him deeper into the labyrinth of his own mind. But there, within that maze, lies the secret, the truth, that he is not meant to control her. He is meant to understand himself through her. Jung's concept of individuation is pivotal here. It is the process of becoming who we truly are by integrating the various parts of ourselves. The conscious and the unconscious, the light and the dark, the persona and the shadow. When a woman is in the process of individuation, she is in a state of constant evolution. Never stagnant, always growing, always becoming. She is not a fixed entity to be understood or captured. She is a dynamic force, a living testament to the power of self-realization. And in this, she embodies the feminine principle of life itself, always unfolding, always revealing more, yet never fully graspable. This is why men fear losing her, not because they are in love with her in the traditional sense, but because they are in love with the process she represents. She becomes a mirror of his own potential, his own journey toward individuation, and that journey is uncomfortable. It forces him to question everything he thought he knew about himself, to confront the parts of his own psyche he has kept hidden. When he is with a woman like this, he cannot remain the same. His ego, that fragile construct of identity that he has spent years building, begins to crumble. The more he seeks to possess her, the more he realizes that she is not something to be owned. She is not his reflection. She is his mirror. And this is what terrifies him. For in confronting the woman who stands in her power, a man must confront his own limitations. His shadow is exposed. His desires, his vulnerabilities, and his fears rise to the surface, and he is forced to deal with them. The allure of silence is not just a passive state, it is an active force. It holds the space for him to confront what he has avoided, to face the truth that he has long hidden from himself. The more he tries to hold on to her, the more she slips away, not because she does not care, but because she does not need to be held. She is free, and in her freedom, she invites him to free himself. The power of this dynamic lies in the unspoken. The woman who embodies her shadow does not need to express every thought, every feeling, every desire. She does not need to explain herself or justify her actions. Her mere presence speaks volumes. It is in the way she moves through the world, unapologetically herself. Unafraid of the dark corners of her soul, that she becomes magnetic. She invites men to reflect on their own shadows, to ask themselves why they feel compelled to chase her, to possess her, and what it is about their own lives that is unfulfilled. This is where the power of the feminine lies, in its ability to reveal what is hidden. The woman who understands her worth does not need to seek approval. She is not dependent on a man's validation. Instead, she exists as a force, a presence that cannot be ignored. And in this silence, in this absence of need, she becomes the most alluring figure in his life. She does not chase, she chooses. Men may try to chase after her, to win her over, but they will never truly have her. Not because she is untouchable, but because she is already whole. She does not need to be completed, and therein lies her power. She is not defined by him. She is defined by herself. And in this, she becomes both the reflection of his deepest desires, and the mirror that forces him to confront the parts of himself that he has long avoided. In a world where so many women are taught to seek validation, to chase after love, the woman who stands in her power is a rare gem. She does not chase after anything. She simply chooses. And in her choosing, she invites men to step into their own power, to face their own shadows, and to become whole. This is the silent allure, the allure of a woman who understands her own worth, who stands in her own truth, and who does not need to be saved. The man who encounters such a woman will never be the same. His life will be irrevocably changed, for he will be forced to confront the truth of who he is, and in doing so, he will have the chance to step into his own power, to own his shadow, and to become whole. This is the power of the feminine. It does not seek to control or possess, but rather to reveal. And in that revelation, everything changes. The woman who understands her worth knows that she does not need to chase after validation. She is not defined by the man she loves or the approval she seeks. She is whole. She is free. And this, more than anything, is what makes her truly irresistible.